Welcome to week 11, Bible Studies for Life. Today we're continuing the story of Abraham, and man, what a story it is. And today, man, it takes a turn. Just about the time you think, all right, Abram's finally headed in the right direction, right? That's kind of where we were last week. We saw the struggle that he had, and, he wasn't doing great, and then maybe he gets it right? Abraham believed the Lord. It was credited to him for his righteousness, right? All right. Everyone's got to figure it out. And then chapter 16 comes, and here we go, right back into a hole, right? This is his life. This is life. This is what happens. And how we deal with it, how we respond to it, and how God responds to us is a lot of what we want to look at today. Okay. So, remember, Abram was a little bit frustrated, kind of wondering, when's this going to happen? How's it going to happen? He says, look, it's going to come from you. These generations will come from your body, right? Abram's wife, Sarah, had not borne any children for him, but she owned an Egyptian slave named Hagar. Okay, right or wrong, this is the world. This is the way the world was. It was accepted by the world for the most part. In fact, accepted by the world right up until about 150, 60 years ago. And still some places it is normal in the world. I'm not saying it's right. It is the way the world does business, though. Okay? So she owned an Egyptian slave named Hagar. Sarah said to Abram, since the Lord has prevented me from bearing children, go to my slave. Perhaps through her I can build a family. All right. She knows this promise that Abram has gotten. No doubt he shared with her what God has spoken. And they're waiting. And they're trying, but she's not having any kids. And so she says, I guess the Lord doesn't want me. Maybe I'm not supposed to be part of this plan. Abram, maybe it's just you. I mean, it doesn't say that it'll be through you and me. It just says through you. So maybe that's not through me. Well, why don't you take my servant, my handmaiden here, Hagar, and you can have a child with her, and then that'll kind of be, your generations coming out, and I'll raise the child, and it'll be a part of our family. I'll help raise, but maybe that's the way it's supposed to happen. Okay, I don't want to be too hard on her, because Abram agrees. Abram agreed to what Sarah had said. So, all right, well, whatever. If that's what you want, okay. He's the head of the family. He's the leader. He's supposed to be the one holding them to this covenant relationship with God. And while it looks like maybe they're saying, well, maybe we've missed God and what we're supposed to be doing here, it really looks a little bit more like, well, maybe we need to help God out. Maybe he needs a little help. Maybe it's not going to work that way. Let's figure another way to make this happen. Instead of waiting for the Lord, couldn't the Lord say, hey, why don't you do that? The Lord would have said that, that's one thing, but when his wife comes and tells him that, he says, I think I'm going to wait on God. But he doesn't. He says, well, okay. So Abram's wife Sarah took Hagar, her Egyptian slave, and gave her to her husband Abram as a wife for him. And this happened after Abram had lived in the land of Canaan 10 years. Okay, so he's getting up in age here. And he says, okay. So he goes and takes her as a wife. This has got to work, right? I mean, how can this go wrong? I don't see how this can ever go wrong. Never will it be wrong for you to just decide how you want to follow God's plan instead of listening to him tell you how to follow his plan. All right, that never goes wrong. All right, here it goes. He slept with Hagar, and she became pregnant. And when Sarai saw that she was pregnant, her mistress became contemptible to her. Never saw that coming. She got jealous. And Sarai said to Abram, you're responsible for my suffering. I put my slave in your arms, and when she saw that she was pregnant, I became contemptible to her. May the Lord judge between me and you. This happens where, I guess this she is Hagar. When Hagar realizes she's pregnant, she looks back at Sarah and holds her in contempt. You're not as good as I am. I got pregnant. You couldn't get pregnant. And Sarah says, look what happened. I put my slave in your arms, and then when she saw she was pregnant, I became contemptible to her. She hated me. She looked down on me. May the Lord judge between me and you. Okay. I want you to, man, look at the blame. I did this. Look at what happened. It didn't work out the way I thought. Clearly, it's your fault. Okay. I don't want to get into husband-wife thing here, but man, it happens both ways, right? We ask somebody to do something. They do it. It doesn't work. We get mad at them. Well, you asked me to do it. Now, Abram should have taken leadership. He shouldn't have done it, right? He's the one who should know better, but goodness, he just did what she asked. She couldn't foresee any of that. We couldn't foresee that there might be a rift now between Hagar and Sarah. I can't believe that would happen. How? Whoever would have believed that, right? Certainly that's what happened. We could predict that. Can you? That wasn't hard to see. That when you start down the wrong path, you're going down the wrong path. And going farther down the wrong path does not get you closer to where you want to be. But man, this is what happened. When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to him, saying, I am God Almighty. Now look, time passes. The child is born, Ishmael. Abram was 86 when Ishmael was born. So when we get to chapter 17, we have jumped 13 years. Ishmael's a teenager, a young teen, right? And as far as we can tell, the Lord hasn't spoke to Abram in that time. There's no record of it. Imagine going 13 years without hearing from God. Well, maybe this is the right way to go, right? I guess maybe this is what we should have done. God hadn't said terrible. Abram was 99 years old. The Lord appeared to him, saying, I am God Almighty. Oh. I am God Almighty. You're not. I am God Almighty. Live in my presence and be blameless. I will set up my covenant between me and you, and I will multiply you greatly. Then Abram fell face down, and God spoke with him. Okay. The Lord came and said, listen, I'm God. You're not God. I'm God. And I want to live in relationship with you. But to do that, you're going to have to stay in my presence, and you're going to have to live a holy life if we're going to be able to maintain this covenant relationship, close covenant relationship. So I'm going to set up my covenant, and I'm going to multiply you. I'm going to bless you. It's going to happen, Abram. And Abram falls face down. I mean, God finally speaks to him. It's been 13 years since the Lord spoke to him, and he falls on his face before God. And then God says this, as for me, here's my covenant with you. You will become the father of many nations. Your name will no longer be Abram. Your name will be Abraham, father of a multitude. Right? This has to do with relationship with God. This has to do with the relationship to his descendants. Your name will be Abraham, the father of a multitude. Can you imagine telling a 99-year-old man who has no children with his first wife Sarai, has one child with a handmaiden Hagar named Ishmael, that you're going to be the father of a multitude? Changes his name to father of a multitude before he has the child. Before Isaac is born, before Sarah is pregnant, he says, you are the father of a multitude. For I will make you the father of many nations. I will make you extremely fruitful, and will make nations and kings come from you. And why did God wait 13 years? I don't know. It's what he had to do in Abraham. Maybe it's what he had to do in Sarah. Maybe it's what had to happen with Hagar and Ishmael. Whatever. The Lord waited 13 years. Renewed his promise again, right? Renewed his promise again. I will confirm my covenant that is between me and you and your future offspring throughout their generations. It is a permanent covenant to be your God and the God of your offspring after you, and to you and your future offspring I will give the land where you are residing. All the land of Canaan is a permanent possession, and I will be their God. God also said to Abraham, as for you, you and your offspring after you throughout their generations are to keep my covenant. The Lord again invites him into this covenant relationship, renews his promise. The promise, he said, I made that promise. I don't break my promise. I'm going to wait on my promise. But here's what I want you to get. This happens after Abram has had sex with his handmaiden to please Sarah, and her request had a child that never should have been born, because what he did was wrong. It wasn't following what God wanted him to do. And after he had, maybe what in some people's idea was he fixed what God hadn't done, and other people's idea he completely ruined and destroyed what God had done. I mean, the children of Ishmael are the Arabs, and the children of Sarah, of Isaac, obviously, are the Jews. I mean, here, these two nations of people that have been at war with one another since then. But God forgave him and still invited him into relationship, renewed that relationship with him, and said this is a covenant. And a covenant means both sides promise to make promises, but their vow is to keep their promises even if the other side doesn't. He entered into that relationship with them. The Lord invites him into this covenant relationship and says, I'm still going to do what I said I was going to do, even if you don't always. That's forgiveness. That's mercy, right? That's God's generosity and graciousness to us, that even though we won't keep our side as much as we may try or may not try at times, the Lord will keep his side. When you enter into relationship with him, he credits that to you as righteousness when you believe him, not when you do everything that he says, that you finally build up enough righteousness points to get to heaven, but when you believe and trust in God, God gives you his righteousness. He enters into covenant relationship with you that never passes. This is amazing, right? I mean, couldn't you see chapter 17 being after Hagar gives birth to Ishmael, the Lord chunks Abram to the side and goes and finds somebody else? And it's probably what we'd do, right? Now he waits 13 years, and maybe Abram begins to think, maybe the Lord threw me to the side. Maybe that's what God's done. And then God shows up and speaks to him and says, I promised you a permanent covenant relationship. I'm not going to break that promise. Hope that helps. Big lesson. So anyway, appreciate you watching. God bless you. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. Like the videos. Put your comments on there. Let us know how God's using it in your life. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.